Hey guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. First Division review show, joined again by Gavin Woods of Cork City fame. How are you, Gavin?
Good, Keith, and yourself? Enjoying the weather?
All right, all good. Stifling hot, but sure, however. Yeah. Look, we'll start obviously with the big game of the weekend, which was involving your team. 6,500 almost in Turner's Cross, and looking at it, it seemed like it was a fantastic occasion in terms of atmosphere. Did the game live up to what the atmosphere brought?
It didn't really, Keith. Like it wasn't a great. City weren't great. Galway, could have came away with 3 points quite easily there. The atmosphere was unbelievable. There was probably more incidents in the game than there was actually kind of, I suppose, excitement in the game. The first 20 minutes, City weren't great. They were very nervy. And like the red card, from what I saw, it looked a bit harsh, but then I heard from other people that the follow through was from Ed McCarthy on Cian Barkley was quite hard on him, so it was hard to tell. I thought Galway probably should have got a penalty in the game not long after that. I did think it was a penalty to Galway. But in terms of atmosphere, it was fantastic. City kind of came to life with about 5 minutes to go in the end of the first half, and then with about 15 minutes to go in the game, they kind of went at it, but it was too late. To be fair, Keith, Conor McCormack was absolutely, like I always said, when I said about big players turn up for big games, Conor McCormack was unbelievable for Galway the other night. Like, what a performance he put in. He was just superb. He was everywhere. Even with the 10 men, he was everywhere, to be fair to him. So I'm not disappointed. We said it there last week. So a draw, I was happy with a draw there. But as I said, in terms of the spectacle for the league and atmosphere and crowd, it was fantastic for the league. It's great to see that.
Yeah, obviously with Galway, Stephen Walsh filled back in at left back. So with the goal scoring form he's been in this season, it was probably a good thing for the Cork centre halves to have him not on their backs almost. As you said, Ed McCarthy sent off after 40 minutes. That's 3 sending offs this season in games involving Cork and Galway. It leaves it in the balance, doesn't it? I know Cork have a game in hand still, so they could possibly go 4 points clear. But there was a couple of injuries for Cork City in the first half. Ali Gilchrist and Young Harrington went off. So is there any word on how they're feeling or how many weeks they're going to be out?
I don't know, Keith. I don't know the story with Gilchrist. It was hard to tell with him, but Harrington is in trouble, all right, I'd say, because I'd say he pulled his quad by the looks of it, because he went up for a ball. What happened was there was a one-on-one situation and he made a great save, but it was just the way they clashed. It could have been Rob Manley, I'm not sure. It could have been him who clashed with Harrington. So, like, Harrington got up, he was holding the front of his thigh. And every time he kicked the ball or passed the ball, he was holding onto it. He went down 2 or 3 times, and then one stage he went up to catch the ball, a high ball, and came down to the ground, and he just said forget about it. So I'd say he's out for a while. The great thing I will say, Keith, is that Jimmy Cochran came on, and in the start of the second half, he was kind of only on with about 10 minutes at the end of the first half, 5 minutes, and then about 5 minutes into the second half, when he needed to be calm, he made a great save down into the lower bottom corner. So I suppose from that point of view, it's that as good as David's been, at least Jimmy comes in and he's going to do as good a job. I suppose it would have been nice to get to 3 points and then, like, hopefully when that game in hand, like 7 points would have been a huge gap at this time of the season. But it's very tight. It's very tight. David Hurley was outstanding in midfield as well for Galway. He's so cool on the ball as well. He's lovely ball player. Looks like when he gets the ball, he looks like he has hours on the ball. He's so cool on the ball, powerful, strong. Himself and McCormack. McCormack was unbelievable, to be fair to him.
Okay, so 0-0. As I said, it's all to play for. We'll stay in Cork. Cobh Ramblers against Waterford. Bit of a walkover. It seems. I haven't seen any of the highlights because nothing has popped up yet. Cobh now have lost 3-3 since Shane Keegan took over. They've conceded 10 goals and scored none. We've said it before, he's probably building for next season. On the other hand, Danny Searle, in his interview, he said he's happy with the maturity that his players showed. Phoenix Patterson didn't play the other night, so it's good for Waterford to see that they can score goals without Phoenix Patterson. And their new striker's off the mark with 2 goals. So this is the second game, he's 2 goals now. So if we talk about Waterford first, I mean, I know it's 0-0 in Turner's Cross, but they're probably still too far back, are they?
I think so, Keith. I think there's a couple of games where they dropped points there not so long ago. I think that space is probably too much for them. I think, to be fair to City and Galway, I think it will come down to the two of them. I think that Galway, like I've been saying it about them, I think like when they, that I think actually that game against Wexford Youths at home, I think that loss at Wexford Youths, that was a huge loss in terms, especially at home, and you need to win your home games, Keith, if you want to push. And I think that game they're probably killed it for him, I would say. I'd find it very surprised for City and Galway to drop points between now and then, but I mean, as we said, Keith, last week, it just, it was probably, well, I was talking to somebody who was at the game and he said it was men against boys, it was just
Is that the issue at the moment? Cobh just don't have the quality to match these teams.
Yeah, and I suppose like that. That fella is it Dave O'Keefe, I think is his name there. He plays in front of the back four for Watford.
Darren O'Keefe, I think it is it?
Yeah, sorry, yeah, that's him, Keith. Yeah, he was outstanding the other night for Waterford, I was told. But I just, like, from what I heard, is that they basically bullied Cobh, in terms of power, strength, ability, just kind of gave away easy goals. And like, I think that is the issue, Keith. Cobh just don't have the quality, and like you can, unfortunately, you can't see it getting any better. Not this year, anyway.
Yeah. Obviously, Waterford are full time, so they're training more than Cobh, so they'd obviously have more about them and stuff. So Cobh's still second bottom, so their season, as we said already, is going to peter out. We move on to Bray against Treaty in the Carlisle, 2-0 defeat for Bray. Still only one win this season at home. Look, Treaty deserved the win here. And the Curran got 2 goals, an early penalty, and then kind of a volley that he hit into the ground and looped over Michael Kelly to make it 2-0. In terms of Bray, they signed Joe Gorman earlier on that day. He was announced earlier on that day, and he got a sending off. Now, I didn't see the initial tackle, but he was clapping right into the face of the referee. You can't do that, and I mean, that's not going to help Bray at all. If you're looking to bring in new signings to aid the team, and then you're sent off and you get a 3-game ban. Look, Bray are 12 behind Treaty now in the playoff spot. Probably like, you'd almost end the season now, wouldn't you, for Bray? I think the players just want to get the season over and done with.
I suppose, Keith, and like when we done our predictions, I actually, from Bray, when the previous week, I thought they would have picked up the 3 points, and the fact that we said that Treaty are so, they're so unpredictable. I expected Bray to pick up the 3 points, but I was surprised when I saw the result. And I suppose, as you said, from Bray's point of view, again, it's sort of a similar situation that you just want kind of peter out the season and see it come to an end, and then just hopefully build on next season. And I think as well, Keith, when that happens to teams, and it happened to Cork City last year, it's a sad reflection of how the season goes for teams. You're looking at it and you're kind of going like, I just want the season to end, which is horrible. It's an awful way to be as a fan. Yourself, keep when you're going to games like that. And I had that with Cork City last year. You just, you wanted something to happen. It just cut the season, call it a day. Take a break and start from scratch again. So, Bray will be disappointed, and you'll be disappointed not picking up the 3 points at home the other night.
Yeah, in fairness to Treaty, got the job done. They're back in the playoff spots. They're three ahead of Wexford, level on points with Longford, but both of those teams have a game in hand. They're in good form, and the Current seems to have hit a bit of a purple patch at the moment. I thought Willie Armstrong was quite impressive for Treaty on the wing. He gave young McManus a bit of a run around at times. I think with the three teams that are there, it's kind of going to be nip and tuck really until the end of the season.
Yeah, 100%, Keith. It's tight in that area with the three teams. So I suppose like that's the way you can see the way teams have been so inconsistent that anything is possible. And we said that like a couple of wins there and you're up there, and then a couple of losses and you're down there. You know, so it's going to be a tight one for the playoffs. But to be interesting then to see with the playoffs, because you know, come the end of the season, it could completely flip again. You know, there's still enough games to go for teams to pick up points and other teams to drop points that you wouldn't be expecting, you know?
Yeah. So we'll move on. The last game of the weekend was El Clasico on Saturday night in Strokes-on-the-Road. Bishopsgate, Longford Town 1, Athlone 3. A bit of a surprise result, given Athlone's form and where they are in the table. I'm not sure if you've seen any of the highlights, but Thomas Alua's opening goal will definitely be up there with one of the goals of the season, an overhead kick. Fantastic goal for him to score. Michael Barker scored an OG for Longford, so it made it 2-0. And then they get a goal back, D. McMenemy. And you thought, oh, here we go again for Athlone, but Aaron Lennon then sealed the win the last few minutes. We'll start with Athlone because he won the game. They're only a point behind Cobh now, and we said last week it's probably their aim to catch Cobh and finish as high as they can. Brilliant results after the run they've been on.
Look, that's a great result. Longford, that no matter what, that Longford would have, even with the kind of the result that Longford had the previous week where they lost, we thought that Longford would get back to winning ways again. And for Athlone to go away to Longford and pick up the 3 points is fantastic. Like I remember we saying last week that, you were saying about Athlone trying to catch Cobh, and I kind of sneakily said in the background, that wouldn't be hard. And like the way things have gone for Cobh and the way things are turning with Athlone, there's a couple of results, and it's quite a possibility that Athlone could overtake him. And I think that again, that's a reflection of Cobh's season as such, really, especially the last couple of games. I suppose with Cobh, Keith, just going with Shane Keegan, I can't see that contract lasting. I wouldn't be surprised if they get rid of him at the end of the season, going from that point of view. But then again, I can see Athlone catching, like that's a great result away to Longford. I mean, as I said to you before, Longford have impressed me, what I've seen of them this year. So whatever's after happening there as well, those couple of runs and there a couple of losses. But, credit to Athlone, that's a fantastic result.
It's funny when Longford bet Bray in the Carlisle earlier on the season, they look like serious title contenders. You lost Aaron Craven then to injury, who we've mentioned before, has been their go-to person this season. Obviously, he hasn't played in a couple of weeks because of that injury. You lost Ryan Graydon as well. They've won 1-6, and you spoke about consistency. That 1-6 was a 2-0 home win against Galway. So, that's what Longford are missing, isn't it? And I suppose a lot of the teams in the round are missing that. The Waterfords as well. Whereas Cork and Galway have been consistent. You just don't know what's happening to other teams. They could win 1 and then lose 3, win 2, then lose 4. Longford are certainly looking over their shoulders without a shadow of a doubt.
100%, Keith. Like that's some stat, to go in and beat Galway and then to lose the next 5 games or whatever, or to win just 1-6. But like, as you said yourself, and you saw it yourself when Longford beat Bray, I saw when they came to the cross, Longford was so organised against Cork City, and Cork City went through a spell for about 10 or 15 minutes where they got a couple of goals against Longford, but there was nothing in the game in terms of quality. Longford were very organised, played some lovely football. So they're probably, out of that bunch of teams, they're probably the biggest shock in terms of lack of consistency in the last 2 months or so. They've been the team that have kind of surprised me the most. I thought they would have held it together, but it looks like that it's not happening that way. And as you said, and I think with the City game the other night against Galway, that result summed up, I suppose, the way the two teams are. There was nothing really in the game, and in a game like that, any foul or anything, and it summed up in the cross the night. Any foul from either team, the way like we say, if City fouled the Galway player, all the Galway players around the ref, and it was the same with the City players the other night. City got fouled, they were all around the ref, and that kind of summed up the season with the two of them, is that they don't want to give nothing away, and that's the consistency with the two of them, where you have the likes of Waterford and Longford, who are good teams and have been very strong, but just that couple of games of inconsistency, and they've dropped away from City and Galway.
Yeah, Gavin, I think we'll talk about the first division games this weekend. Very briefly, Athlone take on Galway. It's probably Galway need a win without a doubt, particularly with Cork going to Wexford. Wexford are on a reasonably good run of form. So Galway, if they pick up 3 points here and Cork drop, it tightens it up even more.
Yeah, like you'll be expecting Galway. Galway will, like, as good as Athlone have been, to be fair, and picked up 2 wins. Galway will be still be way too strong from. They're such a good team, and like the other night I noticed it as well with John Caulfield, and when they went down to 10 men, took off a striker, brought on a midfielder, and sat into a 4-4-1, and it suited them down to the ground, because City came at them at 100 miles an hour, but Galway were so comfortable, and like they'll be back to their normal system for this week against Athlone, and they'll probably hit Athlone for 3 or 4. I would be guessing, and that's with no disrespect to Athlone. Galway are just too good.
Yeah, absolutely. I've written down 4-0 for Galway. Bray travelled to Cobh. I don't know how this game's gonna go. Cobh off a run of form. Bray off a run of form. Will they cancel each other out? I'm not sure. It's Bray's season's petering out. Cobh's season's petering out. So it's almost like Shay Keegan and Pat Devlin would like to just shake hands in the dressing rooms before the game and say, we'll just go to the pub for a few points instead of playing the game.
Yeah, I'd say that could be, and I'd say that, unfortunately as well, I think this could actually suit Bray better for the simple reason, Keith, is that the crowds have been dropping away off down in Corman's Park, and no matter what, you need your home support, but you're like, it's very hard. It's very it's heartbreaking when you're going out to watch a team that have been hammered every week, and it's very hard. As much as you love your club, it's very hard to watch that, and it's tough. And it's tough going down to Cobh anyway to watch it. I think Bray will come away with the 3 points here. There probably won't be much in it, like a goal in it, but I would be expecting Bray to pick up the 3. I just think that Cobh are probably so down the dumps that it's just very hard to get out of a rut like that. I'd be very surprised if Cork pick up anything from this game, Keith.
Yeah, I've gone for a narrow Bray victory 1-0. Waterford play Longford in the RSC. Waterford, after the 5-0 win against Cobh, their spirits will be up. Longford have to go down there and get something out of this game, because Treaty and Wexford are really, really putting the pressure on the last 2 weeks. I don't know, Waterford, with the 5 goals they've scored last week, and Phoenix Patterson will probably come back in. They'll probably have too much for Longford here, I think.
I would be guessing myself, Keith. I just think that Waterford will be just too strong attacking wise for Longford. Then again, like you can, it's 2 teams that are so that can. You just can't predict them in a sense. Like, you would be expecting on paper for Waterford to win this game, but you could be surprised then. Like Longford, they'll have to put a stop to their bad run of form at some stage, and they will be looking at no better team to go down to Waterford and try and close the gap and have a tight there in it and just try and stop the bad run of form. So the only thing I will say is just Waterford attacking or will be just too good. So I would probably go with a 2-1 win here to Waterford. I think they'll just be that bit too strong for Longford.
Yeah, I can't see Longford scoring. I think it'll be a 2-0 win for Waterford here. And your game of the weekend, are you going up to Wexford?
We'll see how things work out. I won't call it too early, but we'll see how things go.
So Wexford obviously against Cork, 2 of the 4 teams in the league. Wexford on a really good run of form. They went down to Waterford a few weeks ago and deservedly won the game by a couple of goals. Ian Ryan hasn't playing particularly well. Jack Doherty might come back into the team. I'm not sure what's the story with his injury, but they have the players, Dinny Cork and Aaron Dobbs. Luka Lovic has freshened them up this season. So would you be worried as a Cork City fan going to Wexford?
Definitely, Keith. Like I was down at this fixture down below there earlier in the season, and City were lucky to get away with a 1-0 victory. And it was a draw then in the cross. And this is it's going to be a strange game. Like I'm like not in terms of City, in terms of how they're playing, because they're playing really well. But it's just, this is going to be a stickler of a game for City.
Is it almost a game, Gavin, where you just take a 1-0 and go back on the road?
100%, Keith. This is actually a really hard game to call. Like, I'd be very surprised if City, like, I'd be delighted, but if City came over a 2 or 3-0 win, it would really surprise me. Wexford have really impressed me this year, as you'd call the second block of teams in that playoff section. They've really impressed me. So if City could pick away a 1-0 win here, it would be a really, really good 3 points. Like, I suppose, as I said as well the other night, with Gilchrist going off injured, again, a big player who turns up for a game, I don't know how long he's going to be out for. Look, I suppose we're lucky in a sense, we're blessed in the sense that Jimmy Cochran come in for David Harrington there, so we're very lucky there in terms of quality. I suppose, looking at the other night, Keane Coleman dropped into centre half with Jonas Hakkinen when Gilchrist went off injured, and you see, you can't judge the other night because City had a lot of possession the other night and Galway just soaked it up. So you can't go on last week's game as such.
Yeah.
But I would.
That's what I was going to ask you, Gavin. With those injuries, will Healy be forced into a formation change?
Possibly. The only thing, I suppose, Keith, is that he started with Keane Coleman in centre midfield against Galway the other night, and I suppose, look, in a sense, Josh Hoonihan was playing as well the other night, and he, in a game where City needed a bit of creativity, there was a lot of pedestrian football. There was a lot of left to right from defence to midfield, and they weren't creating a lot of trouble. And I think, unfortunately for Josh Hoonihan, who's a good defender, it made him look poor the other night. And Healy took him off and brought on Dylan McGlade to try and bit of creativity, a bit of excitement into the game, because it was a very dull game when Galway had the man sent off, and that suited Galway down to the ground. The possibility is that he'll probably play Coleman with Hakkinen, Jonas Hakkinen, who's outstanding again the other night. I suppose we're lucky in that sense that we can do that. And I mean, Coffey only came on as a sub the other night, so you can just drop Coleman into centre half and bring Coffey into centre midfield with Bolger and Matt Healy. So I suppose that we're lucky in that sense, Keith, that we have that. We can do that change, and it doesn't really kind of upscuttle the team that much. But the most important thing on Friday night will be to pick up the 3 points. I can't even say it. It's that type of a game that I kind of going, I don't know what way this is going to go. But as I said, if we get a 1-0 down in Wexford, happy days. It's a big 3 points.
You won't be happy. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw, which will
wouldn't surprise me, Keith. Would not surprise me.
So John Coffey will be happy with me. No problem.
He will be delighted. Yeah, he will. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Hit that bell notification and let us know in the comments what you think your predictions are for this week's games. See you next week. Take care. Thanks, Gavin.
Okay. Thanks.